Yeah, we're with the Revolutionary Communists of America. We founded this party 3 weeks ago, and we're really here to point out to people that the Democrats, Kamala Harris, DNC, they can never serve the interests of the working class. They can only, appear that way and disguise themselves like a wolf in sheep's clothing type of thing. But in reality, they attack the working class, just like the Republicans. They send bombs to Israel to kill the Palestinians. So we're saying that we need to fight against and overthrow the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
What do you think about the Libertarian Party?
It's a small,
But just as philosophy.
philosophy. We disagree with the philosophy of libertarian capitalism or whatever. We say we need a socialist system, a socialist economy, socialist planned economy under democratic workers' control. So, private industries, for example, the Fortune 500, we say those companies need to be under the control of the working class government. And
Would we be able to trust the government like that?
You're absolutely right. I would not trust Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Democrats, Republicans. That's why we say we actually need to get rid of that government, establish a workers' government based on the working class, workplaces, trade unions. That government,
Any big government's going to be corrupt.
yeah, that government we would say would be much more simple and smaller.
So small government. But doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of socialism and communism?
No.
Communism technically big government?
Communism is a process that we're going through to actually get rid of government altogether. We think we can build a society where over time the need for even a state institution will disappear. So,
I
but
think that can happen on a scale with the population we have today?
yes,
You do?
yes. That's kind of the communist argument, is that
What about local governments?
you can have local organization of things, but armed enforcement of things, and making sure that some people need to know their place and get restricted and some people can do their thing. We can get rid of that over time, because thanks to the massive development of technology ever since the 1600s or whatever, industrial steam engine, electricity, we can build a society where we can have an abundance of goods accessible to everyone, and we can reduce the work week all the way down to barely no work necessary with all the automation that we can build. But it has to start with what we say, a planned economy. We need to have the major industries under a socialist plan, because otherwise, when you have all these competing capitalist private owners, they don't end up working together to build what we think humanity needs, which is a society
Because
that
the government's in with the corporations.
it-
Completely corrupt.
I totally agree. The current Democratic Republican two-party system is completely intertwined with the corporations, Big Pharma,
Military industrial complex.
military, Wall Street,
Wall Street.
Fortune 5. Yeah, there is a revolving door. They join the government, then they go to academia, then they go to corporate board, then they go to media, and then they just keep going in circles like that. So that's why we say a revolution is necessary. We can't.
Non-violent revolution?
We say it would be non-violent, but we are not pacifists. We believe that if, for example, something like this, if we get attacked for some reason, I don't.
It's not about self-defense.
Self-defense.
Sure.
I don't think anyone's gonna attack us. But if we were to get attacked, we wouldn't just lay down and take it. We would defend ourselves. So in that sense, the question of violence is like, if we need to defend ourselves, we will defend ourselves.
Of course, that makes sense. So you're talking about kind of what you were getting at was kind of a universal income, basically using technology to limit the work week. You're talking about basically a guaranteed income for people, kind of in a way.
People will have, at least in the beginning, right? Like when we really get rid of the two-party system and really start nationalizing the major companies, the Wall Street. We can cut the work week, but you know it is required to work to make society function, right? So people, if you want access to housing and you know food and healthcare, education, it is necessary to do your part and work, you know. So, but we say that we can cut the work week right in the initial phase down to 20 hours. We can do that, and that would allow people to have more time for leisure, for personal development, intellectual, creative development, and it would allow time for them to participate in politics, actually have a say in what's going on in our society. Because right now we have no say at all. We have no say. The capitalists, they present Trump and Kamala Harris.
Was it really the capitalists that are at fault for that?
Like, if you look at the background of the Democrats and the Republicans, Trump and Kamala, and you look at the donors, you look at the campaign fundraising type of shit that they do, it is the capitalist class. It's Silicon Valley, it's bankers.
Sure, but it's rigged. It's rigged. It's not real capitalism. It's a
we
free, fair market.
And our thing, and we study this. You know, we're Marxists.
Yeah.
We're communists, and our understanding of capitalism is that, you know, you can start out with that small free market, small businesses and stuff, but the logic, the incentive of the system inevitably leads it to become monopoly, oppressive, extremely corrupt, you know. So that's why we say, like, yeah, it is true. Back in the 1700s, capitalism had a different feel. It was its birth. It was a new thing. It was a new system that overthrew the old system. It was a revolutionary overthrow of feudalism. And back then, with all the small businesses and stuff, you had a little more equality and stuff. But over time, the system itself has an inherent logic to it, that it always leads to monopoly and unfair trade and corruption and business, government meshing together. So that's why we say that we don't see a path to try to purify capitalism, because capitalism, it had its heyday when it overthrew the old system and brought about industrial technology. That's undeniable. That's what we consider a progressive force in history, when you can enhance technology so much. But at this point, it's past its limits. It can't really provide any further real development, like cut the work week, provide better access to education for people, healthcare. You know, all these new buildings that are being built in Chicago and no one can afford it, you know. So capitalism has this unevenness where the technology and the working class has built so much, but we have so little access, you know.
Sure, I can agree with you on the politics, absolutely. Can you, I don't, on a personal level, I just don't agree with Marxism. I'm a libertarian, so we do have some things in common. But can you just tell me point an example to me where you've seen Marxism work on the level that you're talking about?
We point to the Russian Revolution,
okay.
1917. There was a period from 1917 to about 1925 into the 1930s, where we could point at that and say that we need to emulate that process, even though obviously Russia was very poor compared to America at this stage. Russia in 1917 was a pretty devastated country. They had World War I. They had the Tsar in power, who's very brutal and stuff. So the Russian revolutionaries, the Bolshevik Party, the communists, they inherited a very difficult situation. In America, I don't think we're going to inherit that difficult of a situation. So, we say we can implement the ideas that Lenin and Trotsky at that time were building the Russian Soviet Union. But, it is no doubt that due to the difficult factors of international isolation, they were also invaded by 20 different countries during a civil war broke out. And then America, Japan, Germany, France, they sent troops to help the counter-revolutionaries. a lot of different famine broke out, and in those difficult conditions, you had the rise of corruption, careerists. Stalin rose all the way to the top, and just like destroyed the political Communist Party, and put in place all sorts of old.
I think what you're saying is any form of government is prone to corruption.
Yeah, we say that it was the conditions. The conditions that Russia found itself in was international isolation. So Lenin and Trotsky, they were trying to link up the Russian Revolution with the German Revolution, which is a much richer country with a much bigger, more technically advanced working class. And the German Revolution did take off, but they weren't able to seize power, and they were defeated, and that left Russia isolated. And under conditions of isolation, poverty, famine, World War I, and Civil War effects, corruption broke out. We're not, so it was conditions. We're opposed to the Putin regime because, they're the ones who came into power after the Soviet Union was destroyed.
Yeah, I think it's like definitely not communist.
They're not communists, and like one thing to point out, since we're in America, is that in Russia, what America's doing right now is a proxy war against Russia in Ukraine. They're using Ukrainian bodies, Ukrainian soldiers, to carry out American capitalist interests against them. We're totally opposed to that. We say that the money can be better spent in America for healthcare, education, all sorts of things that are needed in this country.
Infrastructure. Sit down to these talks. That's what they're protesting.
We say America needs to stop interfering and supporting the war. As far as peace talks, that's not necessarily something we're pushing the Americans to do. We're saying America needs to withdraw, and
focus on America.
Focus, and then Putin, Zelensky, they can figure it out.
Yeah. Who are you going to vote for in November?
Personally, I'm not sure if I'm going to go to the ballot box. I'm not sure yet. But if I do go, it's not going to be Kamala or Trump. I'm just gonna see who's there. It's gonna be some. Yeah. Also, I don't know if you saw the news. He courted Trump, then he courted Kamala. So he's still part of the two-party system basically. He's independent, but he's still within, and he's from the Kennedy family. So yeah, we're not in favor of supporting RFK.
Thank you so much.
All right, yeah, what's your name?
Thanks. My name's Tyler.
Tyler, I'm Samir.